Everybody. So good to be here. Today, I want to talk to you and share with you some tips around having either difficult conversations with your partner or conversations that are uncharted territory, meaning you haven't talked about that before, so it feels a little bit vulnerable. If we haven't met yet, my name is Taria. I am your rewilding coach of all things sex and love. And I am super excited to be with you and share these tips for having healthy, empowered communication with your partner. For me, it was definitely a huge game changer when I realized that I didn't have to be afraid of having these conversations, and actually vulnerability is super normal with new conversations and difficult conversations, and that there are ways to do it in a way that felt really good and ended up getting the desires that you want out of the conversation. So, when you're having a difficult conversation, or you want to have a difficult conversation or vulnerable conversation with your partner, I first highly recommend being with yourself for a second, owning and acknowledging that you're feeling vulnerable, maybe breathing in and out of your heart, and just feeling your desires for the conversation. What is it that you would like to get, and get really clear? Maybe do some journaling, but get clear on what it is that you would like to share, why you would like to share it, and what would you like to get out of that with your partner. And have that clear before the conversation. This isn't something that you have to do, but it's something that I find to be extremely helpful and valuable, so that I feel more grounded and centered when I'm going into a conversation with my partner that feels difficult or vulnerable or uncharted territory. So that would be step one, is to take care of yourself. And that is usually my step one for everything. And step two is to create a conscious container. So this is very different than just, let's say you're in the kitchen making dinner and you just start opening up and talking about something, and maybe your partner feels thrown off or is not ready to receive you, and there can be a lot of different outcomes that come from that. So creating a conscious container is asking your partner, can I share something vulnerable with you? Am I safe to be vulnerable with you? Choosing a time and day to have that conversation that works for both you and your partner. So maybe it's even in the moment. You could say to your partner, is now a good time to have a vulnerable conversation with you? There's something that I want to ask, or there's something that I want to share with you. And then most importantly, to honor what your partner says. So honor if it's a no, now is not the good time. And hopefully they say thank you for asking and for checking in. But if they don't, that's okay as well. But just honor their no, and then say, okay, what would be a good time that would work for you? This is something that's really important to me, and I would really love to have time to talk to you about this. I feel that it's important for our relationship, or just explain to them why you value having this conversation. Maybe it's that you're looking to expand your connection or pleasure together, and that you really find it important to talk about this in order to expand your relationship container and have more intimacy. So just let them know what it is that's important. So maybe that helps them decide that you should have the conversation now or tomorrow or the next day, or maybe it's something that can wait until the next week, and just co-create that time and date for having that conversation together. So once you've agreed on when this conversation is going to happen and that it gets to happen, so you're going to get consent, you're going to get a yes from your partner, then when you're having the conversation, like I said before, it's really important to take care of yourself, listen to your heart, stay connected to your heart with your breath, and your awareness while you're having the conversation and remembering why you're having it. So instead of focusing on any fear that might come up, any fear of rejection, any fear of being too much, you really want to focus your energy on what is your desire, what would you like to get out of the conversation, and why is it beneficial for you and your partner to be having this conversation right now. Maybe it's that you want to have a better sexual experience with your partner. Maybe it's that you have these desires that you would like to share and talk about so that they can be met. So really focusing on what it is that you want and what it is that you desire and why that's important. And coming back to honoring and receiving your partner. So this one can be really difficult for a lot of people to stay centered in the conversation and not take things personally. And this is a really, really beautiful tool to create safety in the conversation and create safety within your relationship. So the next step is to really listen to what your partner has to say from a place of acceptance and love, and doing your best to not make it about you or not make it mean anything wrong about you or mean anything against you, and just hear them out from a space of openness and curiosity and the understanding that they are their own person with their own feelings and opinions. And whatever they say, maybe they even say no to what you're asking or what you want to talk about, and know that their no isn't a no to you, and that there's ways to co-create the desire and grow and work together in that space. So instead of, let's say, shutting down when you hear them talk or taking it personally, I really invite you to stay open in your heart and receive them from a space of love and openness and acceptance, so that they too feel safe to have these vulnerable conversations with you. And this is going to really change the way that you co-create and feel this connection and conversation in your relationship, and is also going to make it easier for the next conversation and the next conversation, and create safety to ask for what you want. And the beautiful thing about having these conversations where you create a conscious container is it's also going to have this domino effect when you're making love, that you can also in the moment feel safe to ask for what you need and want, because you're creating those tools and containers with your partner outside of the more intimate moments that may be even harder to ask for what you want. And then another really important key is to really tune into safety inside of your body. Maybe that's just putting your hand on your chest and your lower belly and taking a breath. And feeling the words safety, safety, I am safe, I am safe. And just feeling those and repeating those inside as many times as you need to while you're in that conversation. Safety, I am safe here, I've got this, I am loved. So really leaning into what you need to take care of yourself, and not just putting it all on your partner to hold that for you, and trusting that you are held already, and that you're in a space of learning and curiosity and co-creation with your partner. And the last key is this is sort of a bonus one, but this is a really beautiful way to close the container. And so another thing that you can do before I go on to that last one is you can set a timer if that feels really exciting for you both. You can say, this is the time that we're going to be here and have this conversation. Maybe it's 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, and really create that space that can be really nice on the nervous system. This doesn't work for everybody, but I find it to be super valuable during certain circumstances, but it's not always the case. And then lastly, closing up the container with gratitudes or things that you learned and loved about the conversation, and going one after the other and offering gratitude and love for what was shared or what you learned, and sharing what your takeaways were from the conversation. And this can be a really beautiful way just to close off the conversation. Sometimes the conversation doesn't always come to a full complete in that moment. I call it bookmarking the conversation for later if it's a bigger one that needs more time to process and continue to be in conversation. But if you did come to a conclusion around a desire or something vulnerable, something that you want, something that you needed to share, it can be really, really beautiful to complete it with gratitudes, loves, and what you learned and what that experience was like for you. Amazing. So those are the tools to have a conscious container and conversation with your partner when you're feeling vulnerable or wanting to have a difficult conversation or uncharted territory conversation, so that you can create safety for yourself and your partner and have the experiences that you desire and continue to grow together in your relationship. I'm so excited for you, and let me know how your conversations go. If you have any questions or would like any extra support, you can send me a message or book a free call with me to learn about working with me one-on-one. I'm so excited to share these tools with you, and I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for being here. Mwah.